abroad in different parts of the world I've traveled recently. To the outsiders, the entire Chicago University matter, as well as Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu's many other lingering identity question marks, have further worsened Nigerian less than glorious image internationally. Uninformed outsiders now see every Nigerian as a fraudster, certificate forger, or identity thief. The controversy is unnecessary, just as the implicit global embarrassment could have been avoided. In my opinion, Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu should have saved the nation and himself this protracted embarrassment and undue anxiety. Even in this late in the day, however, Chief Ahmed Bola Tinubu still owes discharge. I therefore respectfully and humbly call on him to immediately and personally mount the rostrum of his present high office to perform a simple task once and for all time. He should reintroduce himself to the nation he governs and to the world for avoidance of further doubt. He should let the world know his name, his nationality, his place of birth, his parentage, the primary and secondary school he attended with dates, as well as the actual universities he attended and certificates obtained. He should indicate clearly where and when he did his national youth service. In addition, if at any time he had a change of name, he should state so clearly and circumstance that his name itself is no crime. This is a simple task that will take only a few minutes. It requires no affidavit, prolonged court process, spokesperson, agents, or surrogates. The task is one that only Chief Bola Tinubu himself, through a direct personal statement, can perform. He must perform this task urgently in order to lay to rest, once and for the last time, the many lingering doubts and valid speculation about his true identity. A leader cannot outsource a clear, unambiguous personal statement about his identity to political surrogates, official spokespeople, lawyers, or any other person, no matter how highly placed. A matter of personal identity of a leader is too sensitive and central to the function of the office he currently occupies to be trifled with, outsourced, or disguised under the cloak of officialdom. It is about integrity, morality, values, and the rule of law that defines the character of a nation and its people. In his present capacity as a leader of a nation of over 200 million Nigerians, his true identity is a matter of grave national and international interest. The people deserve to know with certainty the true identity of their leader, and this overrides whatever rights he may have to personal privacy. In addition, the international community deserves to know the true identity of the person with whom they will engage on Nigeria. Having stood for an election of elevated office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chief Bola Tinubu have implicitly undertaken to cede the rights of private citizens in favor of life of open disclosure of his true identity and other circumstances that might be of public interest. His personal integrity demands no less. The legitimacy of the office he currently occupies demands that much and even more. Respect for the integrity and esteem of the Nigerian nation within the Committee of Nations makes it even more incumbent and compulsory. It is time to do the right thing. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
They would have edited that.
Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us on Political Lens. I am Chukwuma Okoro. We are broadcasting on Metro SLTV channel 264. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People Television, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOPTV Live. You can also join the conversation by calling in or sending WhatsApp messages to the number showing on your screen. The number is 0904-473-2605. Also, feel free to put up your views on the comment section on YouTube and also ask the guests constructive questions if you have any. And I promise you that your voice will be heard. Oh well, on our menu today, 2027 still on the radar as Peter Obi, Alex Otti, Nanadi Usman, others push ahead with the relaunch of Obidient movement. Now, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general election, Peter Obi, Abia State Governor Alex Otti, and acting national chairman of the Labour Party, Senator Nanadi Usman, led a team of distinguished politicians to an event on the rebirth of the Obidient movement in Abuja on Tuesday, that is today. A renowned legal intellectual, Professor Sam Amadi, provoked conversation in a keynote speech titled The Inevitability of a New Nigeria, with other notable speakers at the occasion, including the national coordinator of the Obidient movement, Dr. Yunus Atanko. The highlights of the event, themed The Renaissance of the Obidient movement, was the presentation of a book titled Obi, the Political Change Agent, authored by a veteran journalist, former group political editor of This Day newspapers, and pioneer deputy managing director of New Telegraph newspaper, Mr. Ike Aboyi. Well, the foreword to the book is written by the impassioned legal mind and a fervent Obidient, Dele Farotimi, an esteemed diplomat and former campaign manager of Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Oseloka H. Obaze, reviewed the book. The ceremony, which drew Obidient movement adherents from across the country, was held at the Nigerian Air Force Center in Kadoro area of Abuja. The event is coming as politicians of all shades are regrouping ahead of the 2027 general elections, with speculations about a coalition of parties to form a mega party to wrest power from the All Progressives Congress and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Oh well, joining us to make sense of all these that happened and the way forward in 2027, ahead of 2027, is Mr. Dele Fanimo. Mr. Dele Fanimo is a seasoned reporter, former managing director of Leadership newspaper, and a VOP in-house analyst. Good evening, Mr. Fanimo, and thanks for joining us on Political Lens.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
All right, now let's bring in, let's start from what happened today. Let's talk about the relaunch of the Obidient movement as happened today. What does that portend for opposition ahead of 2027 general election? I ask this in the light of the fact that we all know, or a lot of Nigerians know, the momentum that the Obidient movement drove for Peter Obi in the platform of the Labour Party. Now, after the 2023 elections, it looks like there's a lull, and so for them to relaunch it, means they also understand that probably the favor that they used to drive that movement has dropped. So what does this relaunch mean to you and to Nigerians? How do you see it as an analyst? And what does that portend for 2027?
You see, without going into history, because most of us around during the last election knew the major upset Obidient movement almost caused in the political history of Nigeria. Okay. Save for certain reasons that we will not even go into the details now. And this is just in a space of about 3-4 months to election, because it was the fallout of the primaries, the primary in PDP that led to the pulling out of Peter Obi from the PDP, and he found a safe haven in Labour Party. And so the Obidient movement, which is a coinage of Obi students of politics, coming together to say, okay, yes, we are obedient to this man, not the political party. Obi has not made any particular move to join the Labour Party when this youth movement that was formed, and it was such a a kind of, how do I put it now, sort of spontaneous reaction.
Okay, spontaneous, yes.
You know, arising from the fact that, one, this youth felt that enough of this old set of players parading the corridors of power. Then some of them also saw what he was able to do in his state as governor. And he holds a lot of integrity as his mantra. So they felt
promises.
And yeah,
promises, okay.
So they felt that this man is promising enough, at least to effect the needed change. And he was among the major contenders. He was the youngest at that time. So they felt, let's even try this one for a change and see how best we can manage Nigeria. Because he had a lot of promises towards that election. So that was how Obidient movement was formed. And if you look at the age bracket of, except for pockets or sprinkle of myself, yourself, and people in our age bracket that keyed in based on their self-conviction. But the majority of those who formed the Obidient movement were predominantly young folks, okay, between 18 and possibly...
Well, like it was youth-driven.
Yes, it was youth-driven.
Okay.
So, now, honestly, if I were to be an APC stalwart, of course I am not, the only group of people that are in opposition that I would dread is the Obidient movement.
Why?
Because these are youths that are intentional. These are youths that are resolute. These are youths that they are ready to defend what they believe in with all their might. Even some staking their lives to actualize what they believe in. Some of us are already in the second half of our life. And so we tread softly, we tread cautiously. We also look at some variables that may be extraneous to this movement. But these are youngsters that what they know is we want change. And whatever it will cost, change must be effected. And they are tenacious, they are resolute, they are ready to stake anything. And so this set of people are the only ones, if I were to be APC stalwart, that I would tell the President, we must do something about this.
Okay.
Unlike the other coalition that is neither here nor there. People that, these people...
Okay, you are talking about the coalition.
The coalition of Atiku, El-Rufai, Amechi, and all the rest. Those ones are inconsequential as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, exactly. I was coming to that. The way you try to dismiss the coalition, like, does it look like to you they are not serious or what? Is it because of their message, or is it because of the characters that are forming, that are trying to form
the characters?
The coalition?
The characters only depicts pretentious politicians aiming to grab power for grabbing sake, for their own enlightened selfish interests.
Okay, we'll come to the fact of that coalition. Before we get there, now, it looks like when Obidient movement made on the scene, and Peter Obi moved from the PDP to the Labour Party, the Obidient movement became subsumed under the umbrella of the Labour Party. Now, the Labour Party has been having a series of problems, leadership crisis, neither here nor there at the moment.
In fact,
like the intro,
Labour Party is a booby trap now.
Okay, like the intro, I did say that Nenadi Usman is the acting national chairman. On the other side, people are saying Julius Abure is the national chairman of the party.
Even when he has served out his time.
So, in all of this, as the Obidient movement was subsumed, by the Labour Party, what is and should be the relationship of the Obidient movement and the Labour Party, and how much damage can the problems in the Labour Party cause the Obidient movement if they continue to stay within the umbrella of the Labour Party?
You see, the curious thing about it is, if you ask some of these alphas and the Gen Zs that form the nucleus of Obidient movement, nobody wants to listen to a political party. amongst them.
But they must have to.
No, I'm just telling you this, that's the mindset amongst these people. What they are after is, anywhere Obi goes, we go. Obi is the figure. Obi is the icon of the Obidient movement. And so, that's why Obi is, it is the Obidient movement that makes Obi the beautiful bride among this coalition and whatever party that is trying to woo him to come to his side. And it is not the Obi per se, but they know the enormous strength these youths have. On election day, if you and I will go to the polling units, which I doubt, we can only cast our votes, and when it's sunny, we retire to our home, and if it's raining, everybody packs his bags and go. But these youths, they are ready to do whatever we cannot do. So they know that it's a potent force that can upset the status quo. And these people are still formidable. Regardless of, when you are reading your intro, you said they have been a lull. Of course, there was nothing for them to really activate, to prompt them to activate the Obidient movement. Okay. There is no election, and there is nothing that is upsetting their rank. So there is no reason why they should activate the Obidient movement until when election comes. So it's like they had their holiday. Now they are being called to service. That's why they are coming up. And I tell you, like I said earlier today, the Obidient movement should not be subsumed under Labour Party as we move along. Because at the end of the day, it will tie Peter Obi to Labour Party. And as it is today, Labour Party has no clear direction. And I fear for anybody that is contesting under Labour Party. Because after the election, they may approach the court and say, if the Nadi group had been the one that signed your form, you actually didn't contest the election. On technicality, you may lose the election, even after being sworn in. So it's a booby trap that an astute politician who understands politics will need to be careful the way that person treads on Labour Party's platform. So for me, Obi will do a lot of good by allowing the Obidient movement to stay on its own while waiting for his next move, rather than bringing it. For instance, they said they were trying to relaunch and all that. Now the point is, there are some people that were in PDP, that were in APC, that believed in Obidient movement. Okay. And as a result of that, they didn't leave PDP, but they actually voted
for Peter Obi. And members of the Obidient movement.
Yes.
Now, you have painted a very, will I say scary, but a very strong picture of what the Obidient movement looks like. Youthful, very resilient. They have staying power. They are enduring. They are determined. They are focused, and they know what they want to do. Now, if you consider what is happening around Obi, because they also said, look, anywhere Obi moves, we go with him. Now, does it look like this Obidient movement that have boxed in Peter Obi? I ask that question in the light of the fact that, you see, there's been this overtures between the North and the South, between Atiku and Peter Obi. Discussions are ongoing to enable Peter Obi run as vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar. In the event that Atiku will do one term and hand over power to Obi, all things being equal.
And nothing has ever been equal in
politics. Now, I asked whether they have boxed Obi in, because a lot of people believe that Obi's body language seems to be, well, I think this thing can fly, maybe this thing can go. But that he is also scared of the backlash from the Obidient movement, which is his as it is now. So does it look like they have held him hostage? Is Obi caged by the Obidient movement?
You see, Obi must submit himself to being caged by the Obidient movement, because that is the only plausible structure on which his political career political future hinges. Labour Party submit himself to the whims and caprices ahead. That's why I said if I were to be APC stalwart, I would rather begin to work on how to checkmate the Obidient movement, not this ADC coalition, SDP coalition. No. Those ones are non-starters. Because at the end of the day, there will be an implosion. Because individual interest and individual goals will be at conflicting interest against other people in that party. That at the end of the day, there will be a bedlam that may not be contained till the next election. And another thing that is very clear is that if there is a 3-horse race in the next election, be sure that APC will win.
Okay, when you talk about 3-horse race, can you situate it? Obi, Tinubu, and who else?
Obi, Tinubu, and Makinde.
And Makinde. Okay,
yes.
3 of them from the south.
Yes.
And you think that the North will not present a presidential candidate?
They won't.
Okay, they won't.
You can see the talk about this presidential ticket is that we have served 8 years. Let the South serve their 8 years. They don't have any.
No, the South is saying North has served 8 years.
Yes,
so
that's what I'm saying. South. Even the Northerners are also keying into that narrative.
Okay.
Some of them have started saying that no, it will be fair for the South to have their 8 years.
Okay, now let's stay with the.
So if that is going to resonate among the Northern elites, which of course they are the ones that drive the process in the North, it means it has to be either a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race.
Okay.
And since PDP is saying no automatic ticket for anybody, that everybody has to struggle, there is no way an Atiku would want to have free reign for these people that are coming from the South, particularly Peter Obi.
Okay.
And if they are, Hausa people, they have this funny attitude to elections. Once the elite feel that, look, it will be an injustice for us to say we want to take a shot after 4 years and then probably remain another 8 years. So that there are two different schools of thoughts in the North now.
Okay.
One is they are so clever when they want to calculate how many years the northern side of the country,
the South. Yes, the South.
They don't start from 1960 anymore.
They start from
1999.
Okay.
And then when they went to say it, they said they have only served for 10 out of 26 years.
8 years of Buhari and 2 years of Yar'Adua.
Yes.
Okay.
That makes it 10. Whereas Obasanjo had 8, Jonathan had 6. That's 14. Okay. And Tinubu will have 4.
Which is 18.
Which is 18.
Plus
and
another 4.
If another 4 comes, it becomes 22. So 10 versus 22, that's what they are claiming. Okay. But they want to obliterate as if all of us have collective amnesia.
Okay. About what happened
before 1999. What happened before 1999.
Okay. I'd like for us to go back to the Obidient movement.
Yes.
Now, do you see the Obidient movement transforming into a political party? Probably anytime soon, like ahead of 2027.
There's no way they can transform to a political party.
Why?
But the same way they hijacked Labour Party and brought it out of ICU to be a major contender, they can as well. There are about 8 to 9 parties that are in comatose, that are in ICU, that all you need to do is just go there and pick. Like Fubara picked APP. What was APP before Fubara went to pick? It was those parties are there for cherry picking.
Don't you think that some kind of diminishing returns will set in if Obi keeps jumping from APGA, PDP, Labour, and to another party, short of registering a political party, even if it is not called Obidient movement?
INEC may not be disposed to registering political parties now, before the election. And if that is the case,
but the law doesn't stop them.
The law doesn't stop them, but Nigeria being what they are. I like the word
Nigeria.
Nigerian
factor.
Nigerian factor. Okay. So, but in the absence of the opportunity to register a new party, which will be dominant and be recognized as party of the Obidient, which is a good one anyway, and which will give them leverage. Of course, see, one thing I've noticed now is that the so-called Gen Z is after the 2023 3 elections, there is this new consciousness. They were apathetic to whatever was happening in Nigeria before that election, before 2022. But as soon as they keyed into the Obidient movement and started relating with politics, they are now alert and conscious of roles of the electorate vis-a-vis the government.
Okay.
And as a result of that,
more like a new awakening.
That
an
reawakening.
Okay.
You know, and so today, if you ask them, nobody's going to go through that route you are talking about, that they will say he has moved from one party to the other, and lately he's leaving Labour Party again to another party. But the fact is, they know the reasons why he had to leave. And so you won't convince them. And funny enough about these Gen Zs and the Alphas, they hold tenaciously to what they believe. No matter how hard you try to convince them. Once they hold on to a particular line of thought, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to move them away from that line of thought. So they are not going to feel the way you will feel if Obi moves to another party. Okay. They know that they will tell you that he has to move from a toxic party that could affect his chances of becoming the president. So they would gladly follow him to the new party, particularly a party that does not even have any structure at all, that they know they can dominate.
Okay.
No matter how strong and how large the population of Obidient movement, if they go to PDP, it will be difficult for them to overrun those they met in PDP. All
right, thank you very much, Mr. Lelefanimo. Let's go for a short break, and when we return, we'll talk about Obi and national politics. Please join us again.
Awuchiela onye nụ ya ka ọrụ ibe ya. Ị chọrọ ịmata akọ ndị gbara n'akwụkwọ akọ dị iche iche n'ala anyị kwa ụbọchị. Ị chọrọ ịmata ka o si afịatụ na ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị, agụmakwụkwọ, azụmahịa, ime njem, ọbụladị egwuregwu. Mgbasonyere anyị n'oge ndị Igbo na Voice of the People Television. Anyị nwere ndị ọbịa bụ ọkachamara, bụkwa ndị ga-enye aka tapịa isiokwu ndị anyị jiri bịa kwa ụbọchị. Anyị ga-eji ka o siri gbaa n'akwụkwọ akụkọ dị iche iche wee malite tupu anyị akọzie n'uju n'ubi onye anyị bịara na nke ya.
Nzem ọzọ kedikosi aga ya gazere onye ukwu ma gazere onye nta.
Mkparịta ụka tọrọ atọ ka anyị ga-ewetara gị bụkwa nke ga-eme ka ị mata ka ihe si aga n'ala anyị bụ Naịjirịa, ọbụladị na mba ofesi. Oge ndị Igbo na Voice of the People Television ga na-abịara gị site n'ụbọchị Mọnde ruo Fraịde na SLTV Channel 264. Ekwekwala ka akọrọ gị ya akọrọ. Chetakwa na ọ bụ na SLTV Channel 264 ka ị ga-ekiri Voice of the People Television. Voice of the People Television. Ugbu a iwere karịa olu.
All right, thanks for joining us again. Now, Delefanimo, let's continue with the discussion. Obi was on a TV program and he was quoted as saying that he would have removed fuel subsidy, as did the president, if he was elected president. Now, do you agree with everyone saying that fuel subsidy should be removed? Peter Obi said, I will have removed it. Atiku said he would have removed it. Tinubu did not just say, he came in and removed it. Do you agree with all these people? I'm sure you know why I asked this question. Yeah. I asked this question because, look, this is fuel subsidy that we've been enjoying. When it started, there was no corruption around it. All of a sudden, the thing became a corrupt regime. In one way or the other, people were doing what we call invoicing. People were doing round tripping. They said they imported 10,000 liters of fuel. They will come and discharge 3, take it back to the ocean and bring it back and discharge another 3. They transload and all of that. So at a point, the thing became a very big, humongous scam in Nigeria. And rather than addressing the scam, now they are subjecting millions of Nigerians, you and I, from benefiting from the subsidy, gift of nature to us. And the less than 100 people that caused this problem are roaming the streets of Nigeria free. So is there any, what is the wisdom in removing the fuel subsidy instead of fighting the crime itself?
You see, I'll give you an analogy that will best describe the situation. You have 20 rats in the room, and you have only one cordial. The time of trying to chase these rats will be so tiring and exhaustive to the extent that you will get tired by the time you kill 3, 4, 5. But in another way, if you want to kill those rats, just box them into a room, lock it up without food. Those rats will die natural death of hunger.
Okay, the way Nigerians are dying now of hunger.
For me, shutting the door is even better than chasing after, because for every one person you catch who has amassed wealth dubiously through the subsidy scam, taking them through the process of EFCC, ICPC, and all these regular courts, the man will not exhaust. Out of 100 taken to court, he may not get conviction for more than 5.
Why?
Because you know the judicial process. Cases are won and lost at EFCC's interrogation, because they are the ones that will teach you what to say to exonerate you. Were they not the one that spearheaded the plea bargaining, that if you steal 100 naira, once you pay 2 naira out of the 100, you can take 98 away. So technically,
essentially, okay.
Technically, something has been showing us in the last 1 month that the scam in that regime was monumental, and that was the conviction of Amadou Ali, former PDP chairman's son, for 14 years over this oil subsidy scam.
No, so for everybody understands
now look at
the subsidy was
do you know when the case started?
Okay.
Do you know when the case started? 2012. So technically, if he was in detention all this while, he has even overserved. So he's no longer going to be detained. It will only be on record that he's a convict.
Okay. So now,
so how many of these
understand all of this?
How many of these people can the government prosecute?
Now, my worry and the worry of many Nigerians who think like I am thinking, you know, I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm an anchor here, so I'm more like speak the mind of Nigerians. Because when I sample opinions, a lot of people say, no.
They shouldn't have removed it.
No. But rather than remove it, why don't you go after the thieves? And on the morning show this morning, that's VOP this morning, I asked a guest, Barrister Claire Magui. Now let's paint a picture. You have a community of 1,000 people, and out of that community, the community produces yam, and every month you bring in 10,000 tubers of yam to distribute to the community. While you pack the yam in a van, about 5-10 thieves among the 1,000
rampages
go and steal the yam. Now the community members don't have enough again. So rather than go after the thieves, will you now stop producing yam? He got stuck. Exactly the question I want to put to you now. What does that say about our ability to fight corruption as a people? Because it looks like it is not only in the oil industry now that we have it. It's in the power sector. It's in the energy sector.
Nowhere.
It's everywhere. So are we going to live with it so that the average Nigerian keeps suffering?
There's nowhere there's no corruption in this country as it is today. But the point I'm making, when you gave that analogy, if I was on that show, I would have told you that it's not stopping.
No, I'm making the same analogy now.
Yes.
So you tell me.
Now, it is not stopping the production of yam.
Okay. That will solve the problem.
It is not.
Okay.
What you need to do is close the distribution channel and devise another means of distributing with security around the ban.
Now, let's bring it back to the fuel subsidy.
Now, for fuel subsidy, honestly, I would have loved if the government decides to bring subsidy back to cushion the effect of what is happening. And how would they do it? Okay. Now, BUA is likely to launch its 450,000 barrels per day refinery in Akwa Ibom. Dangote
has 650,000.
has 650,000. Combined, they have 1.1.
Okay.
And with the discovery and the exploitation of our oil wells now, oil production has increased from what it used to be to maybe about 1.7 million or
we are not even meeting our budget
well,
benchmark.
no,
and even
OPEC quota is 2.4 now.
Okay.
We are not near 2.4.
Okay.
And hopefully, after fighting all these,
so there is hope.
There is hope.
Okay.
Now, what we can do, since we know these two people are major players in the downstream sector as refiners, now, if the total cost of bringing a liter of petrol between these two refineries is 600 naira per liter, given all the indices, logistics, and everything. Now, if government decides to push for local consumption, push for 200 as landing cost, and government decides to pay 400, it is easy to track. It is easy to know where the thing is. And technology has helped us that the gantries, whatever they are supplying, will be documented.
Haven't we had this technology all along? And it's curious to understand that you didn't even mention the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC.
They are not, are they refining?
Are they not?
They are not.
They said refinery, Port Harcourt is
They said so. You and I, from day one, we knew that they were not refining.
No, you know, I didn't know. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go to Obi's take on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. He said it was unnecessary since the inland roads that connect parts of the country are dilapidated, and insecurity is more of a threat to Nigeria than the completion of the coastal highway. Do you agree with him? Because we have a situation where we have about 15 trillion naira earmarked for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Meanwhile, we also have the East-West Road, which crosses 9 states, just like the coastal. Okay, now the
Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway.
The East-West Road is about 6 states. The whatever, it starts from the west. It starts from the west and ends the other side of the south-south. Now, Obi is saying, no, we shouldn't have pumped in so much money there. That why don't we just face insecurity? Because that if you have a good road to your community and you can't travel safely to that your community, what is the essence of that good road? At what point do you agree and disagree with Peter Obi on that?
You see, let me tell you that for me, from day one, when I studied and took time to look at the cost implication and the necessity of having the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, I felt, look, we can't afford this luxury now because so many things are assailing us in this country. Imagine if government deploys 20% of 16 trillion. That's about 3.2 trillion into agricultural sector in this country. We will, in 2 years, we will be exporting food.
Exactly.
1.
Okay.
2, if we deploy with political will, just 2 trillion of the remaining money that we're going to deploy to that road into fighting insecurity, we would have achieved mileage.
Haven't we done more than 2 trillion in fighting insecurity?
I said, now adding 2 trillion.
Okay.
Let's take for granted that somehow that money was lost.
Okay.
Now, the new injection, which is about 2 trillion,
okay,
would do a lot to fight insecurity. I tell you, as we speak today, if the federal government, particularly the president, can muster the political will, except if he's encumbered by some extraneous factors that is not known to you and I, if he decides to employ the right political will and give the service chiefs the marching order that I want these people tamed. How can you tell me that you can't use the Tucano aircraft, jet fighters, to Sambisa, Samfara, where Gumi visits every time to have meetings? Where this one, I don't know his name, is it Sagalo or Sagasoya, I don't know him, that always come and tell us.
Okay,
what
Sagazola.
Sagazola. And you can't bring that guy to say, since you know much about these people, give us the terrain. Gumi that goes there to meet with our own personnel, our own security apparatus, soldiers paid by taxpayers behind him, and on the flip side, on the side of Toji, who is not even a Nigerian, there are drug tag guys holding AK-47, holding a general purpose machine gun and all that. And then our military cannot go in there. The day they went to Arepo here to fight illegal bunkers, they went there with soldiers, those guys fought back. They did everything to persuade them, they fought back. They just sent a jet fighter to that place, and everything, though there were collateral damage, everything within that radius was neutralized. Since that day, Arepo and his environ had been having peace. Nobody dared go there to go and do illegal mining again. So what we are saying is
about insecurity is that, look, it's not a problem of lack of equipment.
It's not lack of
intelligence either.
It's not lack of intelligence.
But what, sir?
Because the people that should give the marching order, military is regimental.
Okay.
You can't use your discretion in the military to that extent that you just take up arms and say, my soldiers, go ahead.
What's the appropriate word we use to describe what is going on? Is it lack of political will?
Lack of political will.
Okay.
To do the needful. And Nigerians are dying by the day, by the minute. Ask any military officer in this country privately, they will tell you that if they give us the right order, that we will exterminate these people in less than two weeks. How long does it take a fighter jet to burst into Toji's enclave? He even traveled from Zamfara to Sokoto to celebrate Salah, the last Salah.
With the blood of Nigeria.
And with the blood of Nigeria. He was so drunk, maybe he was using Colorado or ecstasy or crack or anything. And he said to climax the celebration, he had to kill 12 Nigerians.
And as we speak, I think there's a 50 million naira levy on some communities by the same Torridge Bello, that if they don't pay,
they will overrun the community.
They will overrun the community.
Apart from that,
if
we
you
saw
don't
a
pay,
memo.
Just move from this environment.
Yes, we saw a memo where some governors in the north agreed to pool resources together, and they listed every terrorist and the bandit leaders that were settling. They were settling them to the. Toji was getting 200 million naira monthly from state purse.
Was that memo ever verified? Do you have an idea?
Look, government in the north, nobody has come to say it is a lie. So for them to keep quiet, it means an admittance.
Okay, now we are running out of time. Let's go back to Peter Obi. Let's leave insecurity, though he mentioned insecurity.
Yes.
Well, at his last international press conference, Obi called on the president to come clean on his identity in terms of name, the school he attended, the certificates and all of that, because according to him, it rubs off negatively on the image of Nigeria and Nigerians overseas. How much of that rubs off negatively? The president's identity, does it actually rub off negatively on Nigeria and Nigerians abroad? Do you have an idea?
There's one way you want to excuse that.
Okay. Because
he is the symbol of Nigeria today. He represents you and I and other Nigerians wherever he goes. And if there is a stain somewhere around him, it rubs off. For instance, there was a time in my community, though they didn't understand the tradition of that community, the Oba wanted to perform a ritual, and the wife resisted, and it became a bedlam. Eventually, Nigerians and people in diaspora, they took it up, that the man actually beat the wife. But that period, in my newsroom, I was in the Guardian then as news editor. Do you know that it was very difficult for me to scold any woman? If she comes late to work or she didn't give me my story on time or anything, I find it difficult to rail in on her, because I'm sure some of my colleagues would have said, as a matter of fact, they said it about 3-4 times. Say, you want to beat this one the way your monarch beat his wife. It was a joke, but it was not lost on me. You understand?
Yes.
So it's the same way. Why is it difficult for us to come clean of any allegation? And in Nigeria, I found it repulsive that if I accuse you now, I say, Chukuma, though you are my friend, you are a thief. Instead of you to tell me that, look, I'm not a thief, you say, am I the only thief? Does that invalidate the fact that you are a thief? That is it in Nigeria. If anybody wants to talk about this thing in APC, they'll say, after all, Buhari
presented the NEPA certificate.
Presented a NEPA bill, and presented NEPA bill, and you accepted it in lieu of his certificate. But why must we, at that level, with all the opportunities here, we have over 135 universities, private, public, and state in Nigeria. We have many polytechnics, we have many colleges of education. And the minimum qualification to be a president is CUSAT. Not even pass. Attempt,
just attempt it.
So why all this ulabalu over certificates and all that it becomes so strenuous? Do I need to go to UI before I can tell you that I had a UI certificate? And at least there's a yearbook in any university upon graduation. I'll show you, this is my department. Go and check. If you don't find my name. And if you still want to go further, you can go to the website of University of Ibadan.
All right.
If I go to Calabar University, I will see your name. If you didn't attend, I will see your name, and I'll come back to question you. Why should it be a body that you have to engage SAN?
Disclosure.
I mean, why? It rackles my brain.
All right. Unfortunately, Mr. Delefanimo, we are running out of time. But before we leave, it's another unfortunate thing is that they have boxed us into discussing 2027, just 2 years, into the elections.
It's sad.
It's very sad.
It's sad.
So I must ask you.
So maybe what we have enjoyed is 6 to 9 months of takeoff, and probably 9 months of
governance,
actual governance,
and
then
another
the rest
2 years of
politics.
So based on that, what are your projections for 2027? I mean, I'm talking about the possibility of a coalition or any other person, stand-alone political party, Labour Party, PDP, mega coalition, Bayatiku, El-Rufai, the possibility of wresting power from Ebola Ahmed Tinubu. If you consider everything that's been talked about state capture, this morning, Huriwa said, look, APC is appointing their party members as INEC officials ahead of 2027 general election. If you put all of these things together, talk about judiciary, the police, do you think it is possible for any person or group of persons to take power from APC in 2027?
Is it the possibility?
Like 1 minute, sir.
The possibility of taking power from APC may come later, because it's too long a day. Okay. 24 hours is too long a day in politics. We may never know what will happen tomorrow. But as it is today, from the projection, from the body language, from the running up and down and all that, I don't see the possibility of wresting power from APC. But tomorrow is pregnant.
Okay, tomorrow is pregnant. Thank you very much. This will be a good place to anchor the conversation. We've been speaking with Mr. Adele Fanimo, citizen reporter, former managing director of Leadership Newspaper and VOP in-house analyst. We appreciate your presence. Thanks for coming.
It's always my pleasure.
I hope that we can do this another
Why
time.
not?
All right.
I like repeating classes, just like Igbinedo told, the mother of Igbinedo said, if Pikin fail first time, you not go repeat. That was when he was campaigning for second time.
Oh, well, on behalf of the backroom staff, the technical director, bus manager, sound engineer, and the ingest manager, I am Chukwuma Okoro. Up next is Issues with Jerry Apollo High. Stay with us and don't go away. And bye for now.